I just got done with a video. It's not very good. I might post it anyway. Um, this is a new video, and I wanted to talk about another topic. This one just got popped into my head, but the importance of being independent. This sort of ties in with the other video that I made about Linux and what Arch Linux does to a man. As sort of a a joke title, but no, but is kind of, there's some truth to it. Independence, I believe, is important, at least for me. For a person like me, I think being able to act without depending on other people is one of the pillars that upholds the meaning of life somehow, in some way. I haven't really thought about it too hard. But, and I don't even know if it's like an end goal that I want to be on a homestead, on a farm or something, living off the land. I don't know if that's exactly what I want. But I don't think I could live without knowing I have the capacity in order to do so. If I had a family, do we have the capacity to live out on a farm? Like, do I depend on the pharmaceutical industry for antidepressants? Do I rely on things here? Do I rely on some medication to save my life, or like glasses for really bad vision? I don't have terrible vision. These are very weak prescriptions, but I wear them anyway because they make things a little clearer, and yeah, I like seeing things clearly. I feel like I appreciate things more when I can see them clearly, like the sunset that's happening right now, which I showed you in the last video. So pretty. And it's even better with glasses on. Anyway, enough about appreciating things. Getting back to independence. Having the capacity to exist on your own as like a family unit or something like that, or even by yourself. Being that self-sufficient person. Oh, you might be asking, why, Will, do you need to be self-sufficient? And maybe it's selfish, but at the same time, maybe it's not. Maybe I want to be self-sufficient because being self-sufficient implies that I have enough to keep myself going. And maybe that also means that I have an excess that I can then use to support other people. If you can support yourself fully on your own, that means you have the capacity to support other people, and that's something that I get a lot of joy out of. I enjoy being able to give back to other people. So maybe it is selfish. Maybe I only do it because I want to feel good about myself for helping other people. There's no such thing as altruism. Anyway, I digress. I made a video about this thing right here. I took this with me to London, and it is my tool pouch. Now with this thing, I have pliers, I have a ratchet, I have a little screwdriver, I have screwdriver bits, I have a flashlight, a magnet, hot glue, tweezers, all of these things. The buttons on the overhead fan hood thing of the stove system here, they were broken. They didn't work. And one of the days, like a few days ago, I thought to myself, hey man, I want working fans. I want working fan buttons. And so what I did is I took my tool pouch, I used pretty much every single thing in here besides like the hot glue and the toothpicks. Every single thing in here. And I took apart the component, the module that housed the fan buttons, and I disassembled it even further, and I fixed the problem. There was like grease buildup in the slider things that activated the button mechanism. And so had I not had this, I wouldn't have been able to fix these things. And this is, one example, but I'm trying to illustrate a point that I have the capacity to do a job as, specific as taking apart an oven hood and the button module with, metal clips and stuff and springs and all these different things. I have what I think is, a perfect toolkit, for me at least. This is not going to be perfect for everyone, but I have something that empowers me to be self-sufficient. I don't need to I don't need to depend on another person to hire them to fix this thing for me. I can do it by myself. And not only can I do it for myself, for my own things, I can also do it for, the owner of this Airbnb. Not that I told them about it, because maybe they would have said no, but in all honesty, I should have told them about it before I started, because there's also the always the capacity or possibility for me to break things. Thankfully, I didn't break things this time. But this is just one of the characteristics about a person that I respect: self-sufficiency and independence. I feel like people who carry tools like this, people who, carry handkerchiefs, for example, they do so not for themselves. Not just for themselves, I should say, but for the sake of other people, because if somebody else spills a drink or spills something on their shirt or something, you can help them. You can go out of your way and assume responsibility for something that you don't necessarily need to assume responsibility for, but people appreciate it anyway. And a part of being a respectable person, in my view, is assuming or taking responsibility for things that are not expected of you. Pushing the carts in, collecting some of the carts from the parking lot and pushing them inside into their right place, because people just leave them out. Little things like that. Moving something out of the road, like stopping by the side of the road to go out into traffic and move something that was blocking the traffic. Those sort of things. Nobody asked you to do that, and it's not even required of you to do, but the fact that you took responsibility for it in the first place means that you have a strong character. You will do things that other people won't, and that sort of makes you a leader. And I don't really like the title or descriptor of leader, because I don't really see myself as a leader, but I'd like to think that if I was put in a leader position, I would do a decent job. I tend to default to following other people unless it is required of me to act in accordance with my own views to lead other people, So that's sort of where I sit. Not as somebody who wants to be the top, because I don't like standing out very much as a person. I'm very introverted and I don't like crowds, I don't feel the need to be the center of attention ever. Honestly, it feels like more often than not I want to disappear completely. But if somebody calls on me, and somebody needs my help, or not even me specifically, but if the situation calls for somebody, I want to be the person that steps up and helps out. Because that's me acting in accordance with what I believe makes a respectable person. And I respect other people who do the same thing. So carry some tools. Whoops. Maybe another thing that I want to mention here, this is like a tangent completely, but with tools specifically, you don't realize how often you end up using your tools until you start carrying tools. Like before I started carrying anything, I never felt the need to, or had the thoughts of, man, I could really use a tool in this scenario right now. That would help so much. But as soon as I started carrying these, every day, realistically, every few times a week, I think to myself, man, I'm really glad I have these tools, because I can do this with them, and I can, sort of fix this if I need to, and that sort of thing. It's carrying stuff that augments your physical capabilities, allows you to think in ways that you weren't thinking before. And it allows you to think more broadly. It expands what you believe to be possible, or even not even believe. I'm not trying to say believe, but I'm trying to say it expands your ocean of possibilities of things that you can do. It's like you wouldn't have even thought that that was a possibility until you started carrying something that made you think of it. Because once you have these tools, you have it in your mind. It's in the back of your mind. I have tools on me. I'm a tool guy now. I can carry tools. And it's fun using them too. I like getting opportunities to use things that other people don't have. And I like feeling special in that way. It makes me a special little guy. I can fix the situation, and you guys can't, because I'm cool like that. Anyway, you get what I'm saying? I like being helpful in a way that other people can't be in the moment. How does this tie into what I was saying before in my Arch Linux video about being too powerful? I guess in some way, feeling the need or feeling the mindset of independence and creating your own world and creating your own things, being your own person, essentially playing God, having that mindset and feeling it. It has its benefits and it has its drawbacks, and I outline the drawbacks in that video. But even though it has that drawback of, maybe applying that to that urge to fix things to relationships, it also gives you the freedom. It gives you the freedom to help other people in ways that others cannot help those people. That makes sense, right? Right? You have the capacity now, not just with this, but with your knowledge, with the things that with your mindset, assuming responsibility. Those things can help people in ways that somebody without that mindset, without that assuming responsibility mindset, can't. And as such, you become the more respectable person, like I was saying. You use your powers for good. I don't know. But there's a flip side to that coin. There is. And that flip side is that people might think you're demeaning if you assume responsibility for their problems. Some people don't want to be helped. They want to do their own thing, and that's fine. I understand that. I often like figuring out my own problems when I was younger. I had a brother who, every time I was trying to fix something or figure something out, he would step in and take over and do it for me. And I don't think it was malicious, but I also don't think it was for my sake. He wanted to do it because the pleasure you get of figuring something out is just that. It's pleasurable. And so you're taking away that thing, that pleasure that I would have gotten from figuring it out. And you're stealing it for yourself. Unknowingly. But you're still doing it. And so, if somebody says that they don't want help, I don't help them. Oftentimes, if I see somebody struggling, this is so weird, it's almost like contradictory, but if I see somebody struggling, I sort of want to watch them and see them struggle until they figure it out. If they can't figure it out, this is only in certain circumstances, but if they can't figure it out, then I go and help them. If they ask for it, or if they request it. I think I'm getting different situations mixed up in my head. Like, there are some scenarios where I would definitely just step in and help right away. because it might be time sensitive or something like that. But if somebody is sat down and they're trying to figure out a problem, like maybe they're working on a school thing, yeah, I'm going to let them suffer through it. And because pain is a good teacher. I'm going to let them suffer, and I'm going to let them learn from doing it the painstaking way. Because that also shows responsibility too. In some weird roundabout way, the fact that you're letting somebody suffer so that they can learn themselves and do things themselves is also the responsible thing to do, instead of just assuming responsibility for that problem. Because the problem's going to happen again, Similar problems will happen in the future, and if they're not armed with the knowledge in order to do it themselves, then it's irresponsible of you to have taken over and done that thing for them, because now they're helpless. So in those scenarios, you can't assume responsibility for those things. Or maybe sometimes you can, but in those cases, I always teach the person thoroughly how I did the thing that I did to solve the problem. I see a lot of relationships where I'm thinking back to my cousin, who was a girl who just got married at the time, and her fiance, he would be able to fix her watch. Her watch would become too loose, and she'd give it to him, and he'd put it behind his back, and then he'd fix the watch somehow, and then he'd give it back to her. And she's like, "How did you do that? Like, how did you fix the watch? I want to know how you did that." He would not tell her. He would not tell her, because some guys, I do think this is a guy thing, but guys want to gatekeep the knowledge so that other people depend on them. I don't like that dependence, because I don't like depending on other people. And so it feels sick to me to force that dependence on somebody else. I want somebody to be empowered with that knowledge, And that goes above any, I know you can be playful with it, and it's sort of like a bonding thing, but eventually I'm going to, even if I delay giving the knowledge at first, I will eventually give the knowledge, because it's important to me that other people are empowered with the knowledge that I have, and that's something that brings me joy as well. So, what did I cover today? I covered a few things, and I don't know if any of it's good, but that's sort of where my head's been at recently. For a long time. I feel like I just have the same thoughts over and over and over again. Anyway, I need to read more books so I have more thoughts about new things. I've been watching this guy, Silas Schmidt is his name. SYLAS SCHIMDT, I think it is. SHMIDT, yeah. And he's been covering books, and more recently he did The Republic by Plato. I think he's got a series going on that isn't finished. And good stuff. Anyway, hearing his perspectives, very interesting, very, very cool to hear such a well-read person talk about these ideas that I've never even considered before. It's like these old books. These old books give you new perspectives, and I really like that, and I feel like I should definitely be more well-read like Silas Schmidt. That would be sick. So I brought some Goethe with me. Once I finish my Viktor Frankl here, I'll get cracking on the Goethe. Alright, well that's the end of this video for today. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you maybe later.